Ladies and gentlemen, next we are moving on to one of the important segments of this evening. In recognition of the immense contribution towards uplifting Sinhala typography, a special award of honor is presented today to a special individual. To do the honors, I kindly invite the conference co-chair, Dr. Sumantri Samaravikrama.
It is my great honor and pleasure to introduce Mr. Pushpananda Ekanayake, who had been felicitating the digital typography for Sri Lankan publishing industry over 18 years, producing a collection of nearly 40 Sinhala fonts. Mr. Pushpananda studied at Dharmaraja College, Kandy. It was where he first began to lay the foundation for his career of passion, which is letter crafting. Almost all event posters, notices, magazine covers at his school were prepared by him. With this strong practice and intwisted passion, he made himself a lettering artist. After completing his school career, he started his occupation as a lettering artist at Phoenix Advertising. Then, in 1982, he moved to work at the State Television Corporation, which is the Rupavahini Corporation. While he was working at Rupavahini Corporation, he came up with some of the iconic drawing titles of the era, namely Kadulla, Allalanga Walawwa. Moreover, he created the first title, including the titles for the first news broadcast at the Rupavahini Corporation. In 1984, he left the Rupavahini Corporation and started his career as a freelance commercial artist. In this period, he worked with many new typesetting techniques and technologies of the time. His sense of crafting letters in the technique of phototypesetting, he was positioned as a unique asset to the publishing industry of that era. With the introduction of the Mac to Sri Lanka, the laser printer and the digital typography in the 1980s, lettering artists became irrelevant to the industry. Yet, Pushpananda managed to push into the digital era with a self-study on the digital typemaking technology. It was during this time the technically savvy engineers were making fonts for Sinhala. Pushpananda was forcing on bringing the richness of lettering culture into digital typography. In 1994, he brought himself his first Mac computer and started drawing fonts for his freelance design work. It was one of his friends who gave him a copy of the Fontographer 1.4, and the manual of Fontographer was a photocopy. In 1999, he had a collection of 12 fonts, and it was published under his brand name Font Master, Sinhala Font Collection, or FM fonts, as we all know it. It consists of 14 fonts that covered all kinds of basic Sinhala typographic needs. In 1999, he set up his own typesetting business, providing services to demonstrate the use of Sinhala digital typography and typesetting. This initiated the Sinhala publishing industry and the visual design industry to use FM fonts such as FM Abaya, FM Malithi, FM Bundimuthi, and FM Gamono. In 2006, he launched a letter collection called Visithuru Collection. Since the launch of the first font collection, he worked with the international brands to create Sinhala font, Sinhala word marks, brand logos. Also, he has released 2 more collections of Sinhala fonts. Apart from creating fonts, his company provides software solutions for the publishing industry. Pushpananda practiced drawing regularly, and also he writes and talks about changes of Sinhala digital typography and its future. He has published a short story book, a compilation of stories from his time at the boarding school at Dharmaraja College, Kandy. In 2015, Pushpananda took another jump into the latest development of digital typography, web fonts. With support from Google, he collaborated with a group of type designers at Muniac to release his most popular Sinhala fonts under open fonts license. His humble personality has sustained different technological transactions of craft and business of typography and type making. He stands as an iconic character, and an inspiration for the new generation of type designers and type lovers of this island. This is a tribute to the immense body of work by Mr. Pushpananda Ekanayake, produced during his 5-decade-long career, and most importantly, a recognition of his continuous contribution towards the field of typography. Mr. Pushpananda, I invite you to come forward.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I am thanking you for the decision to give me the prestige of this felicitation. And my special thanks goes to Dr. Sumantri Samaravikrama. Some people like me are involved this subject practically, but she has put an effort to give an educational value to this subject after doing proper research on typography in our country. I think you have received a valuable knowledge on this subject during these 3 days. Today, on this final occasion, I would like to share some of my experience with you and merely tell you about typography. I am a person who creates fonts today and who has been doing typography for last 5 decades. During 60s, I wrote letters on slate with a slate stick. During 70s, I used pencil and pen on paper. During 80s, it was paintbrush, used with Indian ink and poster colors. And since 90s, I used computer. I bought my first computer in 1994 and launched my first single font package in 1998, second in 2006, and the third in 2014. My creations could be seen all around our country by 2010. Now it's 2017. Now I can see my creations no matter where I go in Sri Lanka. When I switch on the television, I can see my fonts on it. If I take a newspaper, I have to read it with my fonts. All school children can see my fonts in all their textbooks, reports, notices, etc. in all Sinhala books, including novels, poems, religious books, or short stories. I have to read them with my own fonts. When I go to a supermarket or a grocery, I can see my fonts all around, in different colors, with different effects. They use my fonts for all packing material. If you have a packet of salt in your home, or a packet of chili powder, or a packet of sugar, you can see my various fonts on them. The signboards of shops, posters on walls, large-scale commercial advertisements, and banners, you can see my creations there. Is it only in the city? No. As you walk on a rural road in a village area in this country, and you can see my fonts in a death notice pasted on a utility pole. In the letterhead of the President of our country, you can see my fonts on it. In the Prime Minister's New Year greeting card, or in the Gazette or Hansard, you can see my creations. Where is it missing? Even if I go to a public toilet in this country, I can see my fonts there too. On the entrance door, or the dustbin, or the security person's badge, anyway, everywhere. When I went 3 kilometers inside the Horton Plains in our hill country, in the uninhabited place, I could see the printed sign marked Baker's Falls with an arrow, and it had my fonts. But my face is not in that jungle, or in this city, or anywhere. Nobody knows me. My satisfaction relies on the fact that all people use my fonts for their creations. It's a lifetime fulfillment. It never ends. What I have to say you all is that achieve a lifetime satisfaction like me. Be fascinated about this subject. This is typography. Thank you.